Welcome back to the Commercial Real Estate Show. I'm Michael Bull. Well, today we're talking about self-storage, and now we have an expert panel to get more in depth on some issues related to self-storage. We're going to talk about some management tips. We're going to talk about the sales market. We're going to talk about some legal tips. Welcome to the panel. We have Graham Hill. Graham is president of the National Self-Storage Group with Bull Realty. Graham, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Hey, good day, mate.
G'day, mate. Get it right.
That's right. We have Scott Zucker. He's a partner with Wiseman Zucker, and Scott has been a leader in the legal profession with the self-storage industry. Scott, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
We also have James Hanrahan, and he is Director of Acquisitions with Store Here. And welcome to all the way from California.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll appreciate you all being here. And briefly, if you guys will, Graham, start us out. Tell us briefly what you do.
Well, primarily what I do is I look for opportunities both in sales and acquisition and bring people together to execute a meaningful transaction to the benefit of both.
Right,
So it's, I find this self-storage is a very nice, interesting bunch of people. They're very different from the normal traditional apartment owners. They're much more receptive and open to talk to.
And that's all you do? I mean, you don't sell apartments and stuff like that. You just sell self-storage properties.
There's 58,000 self-storage properties. Yeah. There's plenty for me to do.
Plenty of work. And okay. And James, tell us about what your responsibilities.
Yeah. So I'm the acquisitions director for a company that I own with a few partners, Store Here Self-Storage, and I'm out running around the country, buying deals and dealing with owners and brokers, and trying to find upside and opportunities.
And how many properties or units do you guys have?
We have 33 properties that we purchased in the last 4 years.
Right. And they're all over the country?
7 states right now.
7 states. Okay. All right, Scott, and tell us what you do day to day.
Well, Wiseman Zucker is a real estate development and litigation firm. We focus a lot on self-storage as well as other commercial properties, and work with a number of state associations as their counsel, and also deputy general counsel for the National Self-Storage Association. So self-storage kind of keeps me a little busy, but it's all good.
Impressive. And we've had you on the show before, so thanks for coming back.
Glad to be here.
We know you have great information. And so you're talking to a lot of owners of these self-storage properties and studying the market every day. You're with them. How are these properties performing for some of these various owners?
I think everyone would agree that self-storage right now is at the top of the market with regard to other real estate classes. Very high returns, low risk, low default rates. So I think generally self-storage is a great industry in terms of the real estate market to get into.
And so did NAREIT recently report on self-storage?
Yeah, they've been tracking self-storage for about 10 years now, and self-storage is the top of the market in terms of investment return of real estate asset classes.
That's amazing, because I think some people think of self-storage, these little ugly metal buildings on the side of the road, but it's really developed, hasn't it, James?
Yeah, on a more recent note, we were really surprised to see the winter months plussing so many units. We actually gained occupancy all through the winter months, where generally there's a bit of seasonality to storage. The moving season is May to September. So we usually have a kind of a flat winter and then things pick back up. But this has been a real strong year in general. And like Scott said, the Nationals are seeing, in the 92, 93% occupancy rates, with dollars per square foot just elevating in all markets.
Right. And so our buyers and sellers that you're talking to, Graham, are they suggesting that their properties are doing well?
Well, yes, very much so. I mean, self-storage has really gone from being the ugly duckling, so to speak, to, as you say, the ugly end of town, to now to be able to maintain the zoning there. They have to change what the places look like. Like if you go around the corner from our office here, you'll see an extra space storage that actually has a watchtower, and it looks like an apartment building or a hotel.
Yeah. So James, you're acquiring properties right now. You're pretty active, so you're bullish on the market moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're of course projecting about 4 to 5 years out on all of our acquisitions, but we think that the cap rates are going to stay pretty steady, maybe with a slight increase depending on how lending transitions in the next couple of years. But we do feel that the occupancies and the dollars per square foot metrics are going to stay very consistent and actually increase. So we're bullish right now, but we're also cautious on what's going to happen with lending in the next 4 years.
I'm not sure cap rates can get much lower compared to what
It's pretty
they are
wild
now.
right now. Yeah.
What are you
It's
seeing for
tough.
cap rates?
Yeah,
That's a
well-
question
well,
for Graham, but I think it's probably something in the 5 or
It
10
depends
range.
on which ends. I mean,
Yeah.
James and I were talking last night, and he's telling me that they bought a property for a 3.3 cap.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, what are
No,
you doing?
better
to
news,
us?
Graham. We're selling a property
Oh,
for a
you're selling.
3.4 cap.
Right.
But the it depends on the market and the product,
Yeah.
the quality of the product and the ability to realize upside from it. And we're seeing, Class A properties in A/B markets in the 4 to 5 cap range, and Bs are going from 5 to 6.5, and Cs are 6.5 to 8s. So it's transitioned almost a whole point down, honestly, in 18 months.
That's
I mean, and it's getting harder and harder to buy, and guys like Graham are digging deeper and deeper to find those little nuggets of opportunities, so that
Well, it gets
buying
very-
existing assets, and then the other option is, of course, then developing.
It
So
gets
that's
very
it.
hard for me when individual operators read in the trade publications what's happening with the REITs and what these are
Yeah.
buying, and their expectations are
Yeah.
just totally unrealistic, because
Yeah.
an individual buyer comes
Yeah.
to buy a property, the property's got to pay for itself, and
Right.
there's just absolutely no way that those type of cap rates can work.
Can't
So
you get a three cap rate for my 40-year-old
Yeah.
metal buildings?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like,
Yeah, there's
And
so much
Bumblechuck.
there's so much behind that story that you don't want to even get into it. But yeah, we have the same issues like Graham was saying.
I mean, you mentioned financing. So what are you guys seeing for funding of these projects? Lenders like these projects now?
Well, I personally have seen a complete reversal where they seek us out. I mean, they come to all of the regional, all the institutional meetings, and forever of offering. Everybody's got a new deal. I mean, SBAs are down to 90% ratios and loan to value, and it's a real wheel and deal. I mean, I had a deal recently where the gentleman just had terrible financial records, but the person who was buying it had a similar property nearby and had a perfect operational deal, and just said to the bank, I'm going to take this method of operation and apply it to this guy. So they just forgot about all the terrible records that the other
Nice.
guy had, and just transferred and trusted him.
Are you financing your deals, Jay?
Yeah, ours is a little bit different. We operate on a credit line, so we don't actually put full debt on each property individually. So it's slightly different, but we also have a secondary line that we're buying properties for personally, and we're doing local loans and SBA loans, which are fantastic, and also considering some CMBS, but we're trying to steer clear of that because of the prepay penalties and all the defeasance that are associated with CMBS. But what we're finding is that the local banks are having directives to have our class of product in their pool of investments. So when you go to the local bank, they're saying, we've been looking to deploy $15 million into your sector. We're interested in seeing your deal. So they weren't interested in it 7 years ago. Now they're very interested in having some of our class.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. So now institutional investors are in, the lenders are in, everybody's getting in. Well, stay tuned. We'll have more on the self-storage sector, including some management tips and legal tips. Stay with us. We'll be right back. The Commercial Real Estate Show is brought to you by Bull Realty, Asset and Occupancy Solutions. Xceligent, building data everywhere. CCIM Institute, the industry's global standard for professional achievement. Valuate, easily share what-if analysis with colleagues online. And First Service Solutions, your CMBS borrower advocate. For more information on how these businesses may be of service to you, visit CREshow.com.